originality in game design. So there was this. Hang on, let me just so people can actually see it. This was something I saw on Reddit. I thought, oh, it's kind of interesting. So this person, I don't know who it was, whether it was a guy or a girl or whatever, but I keep accidentally recreating already existing games when I try to be original, even making things I've never seen before. So I'll put the link down there as well, so people can check it out if they want to. I'm kind of interested. Like, this kind of seems like you can't even create anything original. To me, there's something wrong with this statement. I don't know the vibe of the statement. There's something kind of wrong with it. I'm interested to know what you guys think.
Yeah, well, it's like to me that immediately jumps to mind is like that whole music paradox, right? Like the last few years, some of the top musicians of the world have been like, I think suing or something, at least calling each other out about stealing songs and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it, there's a finite amount of notes, there's a finite amount of chords. There's so much music in the world. Things are just going to start repeat whether you've heard it or not. And maybe we're hitting that boiling point where there's so many people making games and so many ideas. I wouldn't say that that's it totally, but I do think that there's like a big sort of creative thought path that a lot of us tap into that, similarities sort of line up when we're trying to think of, something that's new or undone.
I think going further on that is sort of you take a lot of inspiration from the stuff that you listen to. So it might also be a product with, designing games where if you play one genre of games a lot, you might be more predisposed to, rehashing the ideas that you come across.
Absolutely, yeah. Charlie, just getting a message that you're very quiet on stream. Are you able to turn your? Yeah, I tried to turn you up here.
Not sure I'll turn the input up until.
That's good. That sounds good.
Is that a bit better? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm starting to peak on my side.
Yeah,
very good. Okay, cool.
That's good. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Fraser, any particular thoughts?
I mean, I feel like it's one of the oldest creative problems that we hear about, right? Is like accidentally recreating things. Well, maybe not the oldest, but something that became much more noticeable, much more prevalent once we globalized more and were able to access creative works from all over the globe. It feels like if you're getting stuck on it, you're maybe not aware enough of the sort of the tricks and the techniques that you can use to try and create, or adjust your project to make it more original or less similar to the things that you've identified, I suppose.
Okay, let's sort of go into this. So, I mean, obviously, there's what's originality is a question that just shouts. It's basically okay. We're talking about originality. Yeah, I mean, how do you define originality, particularly in games and game design? Any thoughts on that? I mean, there's a thing here: mechanics, narrative, aesthetics, something else. I mean, what makes?
Yeah. Well, I think it definitely needs to be broken down into things like, people iterate on other ideas and make it original by putting their own flair into it, by changing a few little things. Like I still view that as being like originality, in the process, whether it's built on an old idea or not. I guess it's really, where do we draw the line on what's truly original and what's not? Like, does it need new mechanics, new narrative, new aesthetics in every single thing to be truly original? Don't know.
I don't know if truly original is something we could ever reach, right? Like, I've always been very much under the impression that you're always building off of something, whether it's conscious or subconscious, though.
Sure.
Is,
yeah.
Sort of where you're at. And just being aware of, like I said, you can't make something out of nothing, but you can definitely add and add and add and mix and multiply. There are ways to change things. There's not really ways to make anything from nothing.
Sam, any thoughts?
mostly been covered, but it sort of, it really does come down to like artistry, and like if you have an art team that sort of borrows inspiration from somewhere else, but they haven't really mixed it up too much, it could come across as a transplant of, you're taking one idea and you're not really adjusting it for your own idea. It's a bit like sampling with the music scene. It comes up quite frequently.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We can go to let's think of the extremes. So if we think of complete unoriginality, that's basically just taking somebody else's game and recreating it, isn't it? So you just take, any particular game, and you just basically copy it. You get the mechanics exactly the same, the art's exactly the same.
This is
all that
the
sort of stuff.
Roblox approach, right?
There's you go onto Steam, you'll find a whole lot of these cookie cutter games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of, someone's a real, a fan. Look, on the positive side, someone's a real fan of, say, a particular first-person shooter. They want to go and make that shooter, their own. And maybe they're not that creative or what have you, or they're just sort of starting out, and they make something which is pretty obviously almost like a carbon copy of another game. So that's one extreme. Do we agree?
Yeah.
So that's complete. That's complete non-originality. That's definitely not original. The other extreme, I would say, is a completely new genre. So if we think about the beginning of first-person 3D games, Castle Wolfenstein was obviously, was it Return from Castle? Well, Castle Wolfenstein was one of the first, 3D or 2.5D first-person games, shooter games, to exist. So I think that's the other end of the spectrum. We'd never seen anything like that before. So there's two ends of the spectrum for originality. One very much not original, the other one completely original.
And I feel like one of those ends kind of relies on technology. Like the reason that, the Wolfenstein, the 3D was first of its kind is because technology was able to, accommodate it.
Yeah. And you had the wizardry of John Carmack, who was amazing at, at getting, writing optimized code. So, absolutely. Anyone else got thoughts on that?
I think there's a weird bit for me with like that the end you were talking about, where somebody copies a game one for one, but they're just not very creative.
Yeah.
Where I feel like the only times I see true rip-offs is when there is a motive, usually financial. Where it's like, oh, this game isn't available in this market, or I can rip off this game and undercut it. I feel like if somebody is doing it because they like the game in some capacity, they're going to make changes to it. It still might be like, this is basically like a carbon copy, but I think if it's motivated by that sort of enjoyment or interest, you will see some creative decisions in there. They just might not be, legally distinct enough.
Yeah. And I feel like we saw that a bit with the release of Breath of the Wild. I feel like that formula of what Zelda took for the open world got copied quite a bit in the next few years. The first that comes to mind is that the one that Ubisoft did about the Greek mythology, very much like you run around a big world, you have wings to fly, you go, like, it's very much just like a copy paste there of Zelda. And there was another one that got caught up for, was it Genshin Impact? People were like, when it was being released, does anyone remember that? They were like, slandering it for being a Zelda copy. But like, so that's like the big companies doing their own takes on it. But I think within each of those games, enough originality sort of prevails, but there is underlying mechanics that are very similar.
What about, okay, sorry, Sam, you go ahead.
On the flip side, we have things like Pal World, who take inspiration from Pokemon, but sort of expand on the mechanics in such a way that makes it, original.
And
Which,
look where that got him.
yeah.
Well, wasn't who were they ripping off?
Nintendo. 'Cause
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Well, that's the one company you want to avoid going anywhere near, isn't it? I mean, Nintendo are just the litigious arm of the games industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Pretty
you
much.
don't want to go anywhere near that. So let me throw another hypothetical. So we've looked at the two extremes. So what about let me think of another one where, okay, I've got a game, I've got the code, I've got the mechanics, which has been really successful, and then what I do is I reskin it. Don't make pretty much no changes to the code, no changes to the gameplay. Maybe I turn a game that's set in, say, a medieval past or whatever, into a sort of science fiction kind of game. I mean, is that original?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was just thinking as we're like sort of I guess about to move on from defining originality topic, I was like, I think original for me is mechanically. It needs to be a bit different mechanically because if you present a game with all the same systems and mechanics, but only the art is different, I'm not going to say that that's original at all. And it's funny that I've just realized now that that's where I draw the line.
Hmm.
I
Whereas
feel
when I view art on its own, and it's very original in most aspects, but combined in a game scene, I feel like that's where I, go. If you're just changing assets, then nah, not original.
Hmm.
I feel a little called out as a Yakuza fan. We were talking about Yakuza just before we went live. One of the things I've been told and kind of am excited for with the Yakuza series is that they do some of the games are set in like I think like Edo period Japan, and so the mechanics are still. And the other thing with a lot of the Yakuza games is the mechanics will be very similar, but they do add like they will expand, they'll add more mini games, tweak mechanics, but like the core can be really really similar from game to game. And then yeah, there are these certain entries where what they do is essentially go back in time. It's still the same characters and the same voice actors, but they're playing characters. It's like a really weird in-universe play essentially. And so if you were to like put it down on paper, kind of the only things that are different are some of the art assets and the narrative, but like
Yeah,
a lot of the core systems are the same, even to the point where they're using the same characters, names and all. You just or maybe not names necessarily, but voice actors and all. So for me,
yeah.
it's like I think like we have legal concerns with using somebody else's code one for one, which I can understand, but like artistically, the idea of remixing in that way, I feel I personally find it's far more grey.
But like that's made, they're all made from the same company, right? Like it's all
Yeah,
within the, yeah, like that's just an iterative process to me. They're riffing with their own things, being like, our systems are nice, let's play with the art and see what the fans like. To me, that's totally okay, which is the opposite of, what I just said. But I guess I didn't consider, the iteration through a studio's, intellectual property. But I feel like if it's between studios, yeah.
yeah.
Sam, any thoughts?
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Yep, done, no problem. Sam, any thoughts?
I was going a bit more abstract with, transplanting like first person mechanics from one game to another. And if you did like a full on copy paste of the code, you're pretty much using the same functions and formulas that drive it all. So apart from adjusting speed and like head bob and different sort of variables that you can mess around with, it's one of those tricky ones.
Hmm. Mm. So, in that light, actually, an interesting example would be, if you remember back to, I don't know whether you guys are old enough, but 2017, there was a little game called PUBG, which came from the Battle Royale. There was a whole lot of game modes that were created for things like Rust and H1Z1. So there's a battle. There was this sort of, for a number of years, you had these sort of add-ons which gave you that battle royale for those. And then the guys who did that obviously honed the gameplay during that time, and then they created PUBG. So PUBG was, they did that in the Unreal Engine before before this was Unreal Engine 4, of course, before Unreal Engine became Unreal Engine 5 and everything. And they worked actually very closely with Epic Games when they were doing this. And they came up with, obviously, with PUBG. And it was very successful, amazingly successful. This was obviously the first big battle royale game. And then, well, what happened? Well, Epic Games had this little game called Fortnite, which originally, what was it called? Was Fortnite something or other else? And you had to pay for it, which I did. I paid for it. It was garbage. Didn't work. And then, the guys from Epic who'd been talking to the PUBG developers and helping them develop their game, PUBG, the Battle Royale. PUBG developers came up with a lovely little game called Fortnite, the Battle Royale version of Fortnite. And, well, I mean, yeah. Any thoughts? I mean, originality? Same mechanics? Thoughts?
Similar mechanics, different art style. It's like different sort of target audience.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a hard one.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you still saying something, Sam? I sort of just cut you off, I feel like.
No, I sort of ran out. I was having thoughts on like the formulaic nature of some of that genre. Because it seems like one where we've had lots of different companies, riff off the same idea to sort of diminishing returns.
Fraser.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm really trying to put into words how little stock I put into the idea of originality. But in terms of Battle Royale, I think, like, from what I remember, PUBG was very much like the 100 players, the closing ring in the sort of really vast map. But if I think about Fortnite, and, the big difference is the team size and the financial support, but I can think about how much they've added to it to change up the gameplay, like any genre. Some games will sort of stagnate and fit very strictly into it, and some games will really push the bounds and start, breaking it apart and sort of remixing the genre as a whole.
I think the word you've used there, genre, is probably one of the keys. PUBG kind of created the genre, and then so in a way, I mean, that was very original. It definitely was an original idea. It had come from somewhere. It had a history, and they had obviously been working on it over time. But it definitely it was genre defining, the battle royale sort of thing. Have you guys seen the movie Battle Royale, the old Japanese
one?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a great movie. I love it.
That was one of the influences for it, was it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no, it was definitely an influence. In fact, the first
I feel like that
version.
influenced them a lot.
Oh, the first version was the same characters. You can actually identify the characters from the movie. Yeah, obviously, later they actually went and they expanded that because the character, getting skins for characters, became a big thing. But no, the first one's that Japanese movie from, was it 2001 or something? It's a great movie.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
days.
So it's a kind of a B grade movie. So when I say great,
Yeah.
it's a great. But those B grade movies are sometimes really good. Like, it's one of those. But yeah, I mean, they created the genre, which is interesting, and then obviously Epic Games was in a position where they could really easily just go and say, "Oh, that looks really good. We're going to take that. Thank you very much," and they did. So originality. I mean, we're talking about genres and everything, and what is originality? This is a huge
Well, how much weight do we give to originality then? I guess, like, as we're talking, the picture painting for me is more so like how much of your own sort of flair or the studio's flair do they put on, because like you're saying, the genres, they all exist. already. It's just like how you remix it and what your interpretation of it is probably what makes them special, more so than the pure originality of their ideas.
Mm. Sam, any thoughts?
It's very much in line with what's been said. Like in Fortnite's case, they've got. I played a version of it late last year, which was Lego Fortnite, where became more of a sandbox survival building thing, similar to Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
So they've really taken, the base idea of a battle royale, and they've used that medium to experiment with other ideas and genres as well, which is,
Yeah.
it does really set it apart from just, having one battle royale game mode in a game to having something that you can get together with friends and, decide to do something different.
Good point. And I think that's a really, that's probably the difference between, someone or a company who's only interested in just sponging off so other people's ideas, and someone who actually, or a company that's actually interested in taking it sort of further. Fraser, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think that's covered it quite well. I'm just stuck on if I'm not going to use originality to describe sort of these games and these ideas, what word do I use to describe it instead? Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And
What about what Charlie? What about what Charlie was saying?
Run that by me again. Sorry.
What about what Charlie was saying?
Yeah, I was saying that. Oh, sorry.
No,
remember?
go ahead, please.
Oh, just that, like, it's more about the studio's sort of personality or flair that they put into the genres themselves. Creating sort of originality through the already created genres and mechanics.
For sure, I think that's definitely like a very strong and well-known sort of way that things are pushed and changed. And I guess to a certain extent, if you boil it down, it's maybe the only way that things are changed, right? It has to be taken on by somebody new, or at the very least, somebody, it could be the same person but at a different time, and so that inherently is what changes it. But yeah, originality, I just feel like is an odd word to apply to creative endeavors.
And that might be why whoever was talking about this, maybe they've got the point wrong. Because like you're saying, recreating already existing games, like it's really hard. You have to put a lot of effort in to recreate a game. Like you can't just go and recreate a game. You have to actually study that friggin' game, and you have to really put effort in to get the mechanics the same, the artwork the same, the sound the same. Like it takes a lot of work. That's not an easy thing to do. So I have a feeling maybe this person who did this wasn't very experienced, perhaps, and they had maybe a little bit of a wrong idea about what they were supposed to be doing. They were trying to get something like genre defining, which is very rare. You very rarely have that kind of, that there's a handful of those throughout the whole industry.
Yeah. You're not coming out of the gate and creating a new genre.
It's pretty rare.
You are, but
it's
pretty rare.
Kind of only happen afterwards, right? Like you kind of need to put out the game. You kind of need to have this critical mass of people wanting more of the same for it to then become like a genre thing.
Sure.
Right? I feel like that's how like Souls-like has become a genre, or Metroidvania has become a genre, because it's people, playing a game and being like, oh, this is the way they've combined all these mechanics is really fun. I want more games like this.
Yeah.
And so then that's when it's like, oh, well, now that there are more games like PUBG, we have the Battle Royale genre.
Yeah. Yeah. Interestingly enough, I was just thinking about like the Epic, the original sort of Epic games as well. So there was Unreal Tournament, and I'm just kind of thinking, because originally we had Doom, I think it was Doom, and then you could play Doom like online, Doom like deathmatch sort of came out of that. And it's kind of like Epic kind of stole that that idea as well, which is. I'm just thinking back to it. I'm like, oh yeah, because I used to love playing. Was it just Doom? I think. Am I thinking of the right
Quake.
games? Oh, Quake 3 Arena.
Quake,
Oh, I mean, just great games when they first came out. Again, genre defining, and then Tim Sweeney. Tim Sweeney comes along. Are Epic like the Apple of games? Do they just sort of jump in and that's a great idea. Let's steal that one. But they did it better. Look, the thing is, I really enjoyed the Unreal Tournament games. They had a better feel than like Doom 3. Sorry, Quake. I mean, Doom. I think Doom was the original. Doom 2 Online was like the original online first-person PvP shooter. And then you had Quake 3 Arena. That was also from id. And then you had the Quake 3 Arena and stuff come through, and those. But I felt that Unreal did it really well. So Unreal Tournament was they actually did it better than the original. It just had better controls and everything.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I played it, but I do remember feeling exactly the same thing. Because I remember I played a bit of Quake on the old family PC, and then a friend had Unreal Tournament, and it was just it was, I don't know, smoother, something more
Smoother
about it.
Smoother.
Nicer. Yeah.
That's what I
think that's
would
what
say.
happens though, right? Like that first game, like Quake in that example, it's got all these rough edges because it's you know, it's less of the genre itself and more of all of the pieces laid out on the table to make the genre. So then kind of the next person, as long as they can see all those pieces, they can put them together in a tighter way. And so I don't know, I'm just glad that there seems to be enough of that sort of perspective that the genre is usually pushed back a little bit, you know, like it's we don't see, like, you know, Fortnite isn't well, I was going to say Fortnite's not like the battle royale game, but I suppose to most, especially casual players, it probably is. It's only more so for like us really deep in the industry and thinking about these things where we go, well, no, of course it was PUBG, and Fortnite took all the elements from there. But
it's just the iterative process of design, isn't it, and the and games, which is why it's so important not to patent basic ideas. Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah, yes. The
But we won't get into that. I feel like that's a big conversation as well.
The evil entity of the games industry. Yes, we won't get into that. No, let's not.